Hi, gang. I am here. Host cornbread jalapeno with cream cheese and avocado and a sharp cheddar omelet and fried bananas with vanilla yogurt. Breakfast, most important meal of the day. Anyway, last night, for some reason, the universe didn't want me to do a live chat. So I tried. It didn't work. Somehow works. Um, you know, what was I going to talk about? There's a, you know, as I do this, I have this inbox that you guys send me stuff, and I have the dude awake 42 Gmail that you contact me on. And what do we do? And I'm pretty good at responding. And, you ask me questions, and I respond the best I can in as a deep and, you know, Griot Sensei Al Bob kind of way. You seem to enjoy it. I can get something from it. And that's why I do this. You know? No, I watch, like I said, I watch other YouTubes. And there's Emily, what's her name? And Truly Graceful. And this guy, Jimmy Dore. And who else do I like? Um, oh, it's a really strange name, Morfunsons, or I will look at it and I make a little list. I'm going to go up to the library, and I'm going to write my novels as I do, and I will do a live chat also. Anyway, but I'm watching all these people, and they're like, they're really interesting because they bring out stuff that nobody talks about. Jamie, good to see you, buddy. Tipperary. I love a Tipperary. You know, you're a lucky boy to be there. It's nice here. Spring is coming. This is my favorite time of the year. This and fall, summer too. But right now, from now, April Fool's Day to June 1st is, I love it, right? And, you know, September 10th to Christmas is my other, but from around December 10th, Keys. I lived on Grassy Pine Key. Well, another is kind of near Marathon, and I would enjoy. Where exactly is the deep green? Can't wait to. The deep green is exactly between Johnson City, Tennessee, and Boone, North Carolina. And it's a road called 321. And I'm right in the middle. And I'm right. So Johnson City, Tennessee, very, go online, and it's where ETSU is, which is Eastern Tennessee State. And it is Tennessee's flagship university. And it is like their tech. And it's kind of a tech school, but it has everything. It really has quite an amazing plethora of teachers and students, about 30,000. So that town is, and the town itself has had an amazing history. And so if you were to go, let's say, to Blacksburg, where Virginia Tech is, or where University of Virginia is, where the Nazis came, I guess, Christiansburg, or Radford, or any of those, they're very boring. Where Johnson City is this, like, hubbub of all kinds of really amazing stuff, art and, restaurants and clubs and music. And it's really quite interesting because it's still, I mean, there's an old side of town when it was a train town that you can still good restaurants there, right? And so they got all these college kids, and if it's not too expensive, they'll eat there all the time, right? And there's really great bars where there's loads of music. I mean, music playing all the frigging time, and bookstores and record stores and all kinds of really interesting, because all these kids like it there down there, and there's all kinds of spiritual groups and all kinds of intellectual groups, and it'd be a great place. And it's about 40 miles from my front door. I go the other way to Boone. They have Appalachian State, and I almost taught there, but it's too fucking cold. And it is a place where it used to be a very small North Carolina teachers school. Where they kind of turned out their teachers for the rural schools, right? Well, because it's up in the mountains and somebody built it, and it snows there. It's one of those places where the snow goes. And some guy built a ski thing up there, and it's like one of the, other than Vermont, it's one of the upstate New York. It's one of the best. It's the best place to go skiing in the South. That's for sure. And so all these kids go, and there's loads of water. So there's all these, kayakers and joggers, and the AT goes right through it, and the Blue Ridge Parkway goes right through it. So there's about so ETSU has about 30,000 kids going to school there. Boone has about 25,000. The ETSU kids are really smart and interesting, but they're still kids, so they I know everything, so you have to deal with that. But the ones at ETSU are a little more open to like thinking about something, whereas the other at App State. So the App State is a little closer. ETSU is about 40 miles from my front door. ETSU is about 28 miles. Well, the edge in downtown, like the IHOP, is 32 miles, right? But for me to drive from my front door towards Boone, and the closest I can get to get a cell signal is 28 miles. So I go to make a phone call. I go to my office, which is the IHOP, and it's right in the middle of the campus, pretty much. And that town, they slid it. There's this really narrow, I mean, narrow valley. And when I used to go up there, it's beautiful. It was beautiful, 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 beautiful. But then when they squished in, 28,000 kids and the ancillary people to support them, there's like an extra almost 100,000 people that's been squished. So it's like these 2-lane roads, the 16-lane highway comes into town and goes down to 2 lanes because there's only, and it's unbelievable. It's like 24/7, like being in, gridlock. And the pollution, because there's, 70 to 120,000 automobiles just like, waiting to move 6 inches. The air pollution is mind boggling. Meaning, when you used to go there, it used to be covered in laurel and honeysuckle, and that's all you could smell. Now, all you can smell is diesel fumes, and at one end of that valley is a concrete plant, and at the other is an asphalt plant. Right. But so I'll drive there, go to the IHOP, and the people there like me. I read them all the time and give them advice, and so I have my own table. And I don't know what it is about IHOP, but now I'm just blabbering along. It's a morning thing. I'm telling a story about you got me going on about where I live. So I'm in the IHOP in Boone, North Carolina. So Jamie, if you look, I'm right. You go to Johnson City, Tennessee, Johnson City, Tennessee, where ETSU is, and there's this road 321 that connects that to Boone, North Carolina, where App State is. And it's a teeny little county road. And that's the beauty, where I'm right in the middle of a 200 square mile Appalachian poverty. There's nobody there. There's no work there. There's no factories, no air pollution. There's one little tiny road, one. No interstates, no big 4-lane county roads. just this one little teeny, almost farm road, right? And I am about 2 miles from this lake, Watoga Lake. Go look at Watoga Lake. And it's got a coast of about 1,200 miles because they built a little skinny dam and flooded this whole Sawtooth Mountain valleys, about, 600 hollers, if not more. And there's a gigantic river, Watoga River, has waterfalls, right? So, and that's about, a mile and a half from me, right? So I could, when I'm a good day and I'm walking, I could walk to this waterfall. And the lake and the river is in my backyard. And there's nobody around me. And it's Cadillac, yeah, Watoga Lake, and it's in Tennessee. Yeah. And, you could, so I am like, let's see, I am like, Roanoke is 140 miles door to door, so you could fly into Roanoke Airport. Asheville is about 70 miles, maybe 100 miles. You could fly in there. Johnson City has an. Going to Asheville, that used to be my hometown. I had a lot of people. I could go pick you up at that airport. We could stay at friends' house and partake in the hipster. Go look at, go online and go look at Asheville. And it used to be an amazing town because there was nobody there. It was like a 1920s wonderland stuck in amber. And I spent 10 years there. It was great. I was the dude there. Anyway, so if you show up, buddy, we're going to go across the country. We're going to see all kinds of amazing, and we'll have the best of time. Coordinates to find me, But still, mystery enough, it's like 200 square miles. Where is he? Where's Waldo? It's like, you'll see the neighborhood. You go online, you can see all kinds of what it looks like, how beautiful it is. And so there is no air pollution where I am. There is no sound pollution. There's no light pollution. The closest, big box store is 40 miles away. The closest Walmart is 40 miles away. The closest supermarket is 40 miles away. Yeah, it'd be very cool, buddy. And the but the other beauty of it is, so there are these little hollers. Inside of these little hollers, there's a little country store. They still got them. There's one that's 4 miles from my front door. And you can actually buy gasoline. It's a little more expensive, but it's there. And they still have the Cracker Barrel, not the corporate fast food store, but an actual general store that has a Cracker Barrel. And they got the old seats from the Butler movie theater, which they flooded when they built the dam. And when, they lower the water in the late summer to like clean the coastal thing, you can take a boat out into the lake and look down and see the town of Butler. Anyway, and it used to be a pretty big town because it was the only town around. And now the Cracker Barrel was where they had crackers. It was a barrel that had, saltine crackers in it. Anyway, back in the day. But they still have one at this general store, and guys sit around and spit tobacco on the floor. They don't even have a cup or just spit on the floor. And, and I've lived there so long that I'm one of the guys, I'm a little different than one of the guys because I'm always wearing my pajamas. And when the rich people, there was, some guy bought the top of the mountain and tried to build this big rich house. And he wanted to show everyone how rich he was. So he had like a $5,000, four-wheeler, those little motor scooters that you drive out in the woods with. And he got himself a four-wheeler, thing with chaps. And he looked, like when you're 5 years old and you have a cowboy outfit, he looked just like that. So I'm in the general store talking to these guys, and they have an eternal pot of coffee going that is like tar. But man, you want to wake up in the morning, you have a cup of that, and that's free. If you're brave enough to drink that crap, it's free. Anyway, so I got my little styrofoam cup of this, and it's like the cup. Yeah, you got to drink it fast before the coffee dissolves the styrofoam cup. Anyway, I'm drinking it, and this guy comes up and he puts his like dollars worth of gas in his scooter, and then walks in. Everyone starts laughing at him because he looks like a 6-year-old in a cowboy outfit, right? And he's got this helmet with a mask on it. It looks like Darth Vader, and it's kind of got camo, but instead of like camo like this, that's green. And these are pajamas. This is kind of what I wear when I'm up there. I mean, this is actually the runway. Yeah, I gotta get up anyway because I was starting to rust. So this is kind of how I would look up there, right? Camo, pajamas, camo pajamas. I'm wearing Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and he don't know me too well, do he? Comic book ones with little Tinkerbell flying around, and I've got like a lime green T-shirt because it's summertime, and a big, big woman's purple hat with a big flower on it, right? Anyway, so the guy comes in and everyone laughs at him because his camo is brown and well, I'm sure the dealer who sold them, maybe it's 15,000. A really expensive 4-wheeler, and that little roller skate out there, costs more than half these guys' yearly salary, right? Here he comes in, and they just start howling over what he's wearing, and he gets very defensive and very upset, and he goes, well, look at Al, and they kind of look at me and go, so? Look at those, look at Tinkerbell and a green shirt and that purple hat with a flower. And they'll go, well, that's Al. And that's what I love about that neighborhood. Now, the problem is that virtually everyone there is obese and dying of starvation. The babies have extended stomachs like they were in Africa in the 1960s. Virtually, I mean, the only job they got, I mean, OxyContin. I mean, this is a 200 square mile thing where maybe there's 15,000 people living there, and about 4 to 5 people die a week from OxyContin and meth. And there's meth all the time, and I mean, it's really, and this is like super rural, out in the woods, and you wouldn't expect that. And they have gunfights. I mean, so that's the closest. Meaning, when I want a dozen eggs or get $10 worth of gas in my car, or they have really great cigars that makes, and it soaks them. I'll go there, or hang out with the boys by the Cracker Barrel. And they like my stories. They really do. And what's really amazing, all these people, especially the grandmas, right? They're pretty well read, and everybody plays music. So you go in that place, and odds are that somebody's got their fiddle and their accordion out playing something, right? Anyway, the other way, maybe about 8 miles, we'll have to go over and around the lake, and then over a bridge, and then over to this other place. There's these folks that have a general store that's really an amazing general store. I mean, it has everything you could, I mean, underpants to, pressure relief valves for your hot water heater, right? And they're getting pretty old, so they're letting their supply dwindle down. But I don't know where this Richard got all this stuff, but it's like, still has, Sears price tag on it from 1956. So that valve that I try to buy it at Lowe's would probably be, $40 there. It's $1.50. So, and he got it for 10 cents. So he's doing pretty good. And they have a really good restaurant. I mean, really good food. Missy and the girls really turn out. And there's a couple of girls there who are obese and starving to death. And I'm nice to them. So they're really nice to me. I mean, they are a dick to everybody else. Yeah, like Dirk Dorge. And anyway, so that's the neighborhood. That's why I love it there. And I've been there 20 years. I've helped everybody out. But the sad thing is, everyone dies there. So I mean, the kids start, they have this stuff. It's skull. It's called snuff, and they put it there. It's called a pinch, and it's the most addictive of tobacco because you have all these blood vessels here, and it's like near your brain. It's like snorting crack cocaine or smoking it. And so all these kids start dipping when they're like 6 because it gives you an intense rush. It's like worse than meth. But by the time they're 20, they've lost all their teeth. And then they can't eat anything, and then they die of malnutrition by the time before they get to be 30. So anybody who has anything on the ball leaves immediately, right? So that's a sad thing about this place. Some really nice people, really good people, but they are totally fucked. Meaning, and they're smart, but they've been dumbed down. I mean, they're so been there 20 years, right? The county seat and got involved because they were dumping raw sewage into the lake. And a place, I mean, the only real money these guys make is from tourism in the summertime. And when they built the lake, the federal government, one side, put beaches and facilities, and it's really nice. They got all kinds of great stuff that the Forest Service runs, camping and everything, right? Well, they dumped raw sewage right at the end of the lake without treating it at all, and it's right where the beaches are, and people would get typhoid, and other, fecal diseases, thus killing the tourism. You know, good idea. But the founding fathers of the city council couldn't care less. Um, they spend more money per capita per kid and have the worst outcomes. 80% of all the kids do not graduate high school and end up jail. They had a choice between a community college and a jail. And, the state said, we got this money. We're just going to, double down. You can have one or the other. Which one do you want? And put it up for a little vote. And the Chamber of Commerce forced, coerced the people. Hey, get to jail. You'll have a job there. No, sorry. Um, Building that jail, virtually all male population has been in that jail for more than a year under a felony thing. So they can't get a job, they can't vote, they can't do anything. And you know, that whole valley used to be the center of beans. It was fertile, fertile, fertile land. And Monsanto came in the 70s, bought up, got this other company from Ohio to come, Maymead, and the guy who ran it looked just like, Colonel Sanders, total, cracker boy, H from Ohio. He would play that role. Um, he turned the whole population of about 32,000 people in that valley into slaves. And now instead of growing, it was amazing vegetable center, Bird's Eye and the Jolly Green. They were all there. That was their center for beans and broccoli and spinach. I had a big plant that froze everything, and there were about 2,000 people working for those guys. And there, because of other things, Haynes and a few other companies. So, they had for being out in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee, everyone had a pretty good job. In the 1970, 69, the average income was about $12 in those factories, which is like unheard of, right? Today, the average income of the average working person there is $5. So from 1969 70, it went wow. And then you put in, inflation and all of that. Those people making 35 cents an hour. It's like unfreaking real, right? So that's why everyone sells meth. But they don't sell it. They do it and die. And years ago, so back in that day, I was your basic scholar, and I was doing these studies in universities, and ETSU was one, Western, and Chapel Hill was another, and I would kind of go back and forth and all around, and they were more social kind of things. So this whole kind of area was, 1,000 square mile area was a pretty good thing that I could study, a population. Until I found Roanoke, and it's like this city is the microcosm of the United States. Anyway, so I was back and forth and all around. And so I had access to all kinds of databases. And one of them was county tax rolls and the way they're connected to who owns what, right? And this area is unbelievably gorgeous, just, and in the 70s to, from between 70 to 82 ish, the rich people from Atlanta were coming up and buying big sways and making gated communities because of all of these, all this water that was all over these three counties and these, Sawtooth Mountains. So they buy the top and put the road in, the water, the power. And then, they build a few houses and rich people, oh, this is pretty, and then they would come and realize if you're going to be here, the only thing you can do is read a book, go canoeing, fishing, hunting, and listening to music. And those rich people wanted to buy, consume, consume, consume. There's no place to buy, consume, consume, consume. So I basically found this one thing that had like opened and closed. They built it, done it. It's really beautiful. Part of the problem because you have this gated community on the top of a Sawtooth Mountain, virtually all the lots you have are in the air. Now that's kind of cool, but it doesn't give you that much health care. I have a friend of mine, and they're not into such good shape, and they're having to spend the rest of their money on healthcare. Well, I get pretty good healthcare because of A, have to take care of me, and C, they can fit me into their billing schedule because I own nothing. Zero. I live on $300 a month. I have nothing, right? And I do all these things for people, like the two cities I live in. I write grants for the cities and the politicians and the nonprofits, and hoping that I can influence them in a positive way. Again, doctor do no harm. Get the don't get involved unless you get a positive outcome and or get the innocent out of harm's way and learn something. So my involvement in anything I do these days is about those three things. And even though they read it and go, wow, this is pretty cool. Oh, yeah. And a lot of the people actually do read the stuff, these white papers I write, because, they check me out and go, wow, this guy should make a lot of money doing this. And so I guess he knows what he's talking about. And they'll pick out a sentence or two and use it in one of their speeches. Do they do anything? No. So both areas, I said, listen, you have to play to your best. What do you got here? Hey, right. So what, the guys who own the banks and, are in Chamber of Commerce in both places took the worst economic things, out there in the deep green. They turned the whole valley over to Monsanto because it has amazing fresh water and very fertile. And so this Monsanto got this, cover corporation from Ohio, and the guy looks like Colonel Sanders, to have cows, right? And so in all of those amazingly fertile valleys, they grow feed corn And sweet corn is probably the most deadly piece of crap you can have because humans aren't eating it. So they can spray it, they can do whatever the heck. It's totally GMO. It grows dead. I mean, it grows dead. It's a dead plant from the time it springs up. And it's like got a stopwatch. At a certain point, it dies standing, and it dries there. And then they bring the machines through, and it makes the feed. I mean, they don't have to do anything to it because it's dried on the husk. And they just chop it all up and feed it to the cows. And it's the most deadly shit for the cows, but it puts a ton of weight on them. So if you eat that meat, it's like not good. Zombie cows. I don't know if you've heard. There's all kinds of There's zombie wolves, zombies. Deer, zombie. Anything that lives out in the woods, and it's not a virus. It's not a fungus. It's not a bacteria. It's a protein, and that once the animal gets, that's it. Can't get rid of it. And all it has to do to spread it to another animal is it on that animal. And the reason they call it a zombie, Google that one, zombie deer, is because it loses all its hair, has open sores all over it, and it walks like this. Right? It's not scared of humans. Not like, and if humans eat that shit. Right? So we're looking at a pandemic like, the zombie apocalypse. And it kind of started out there in the Midwest, and it's like going towards each thing. So it hasn't quite hit here or the deep green yet. But yeah, I know. It's so sad. When I lived in Ireland, it was a blessed place. Tipperary was magic. And I left, I was there in the 80s a lot, like from like 19, I went to Trinity, I guess 70, 71, right? That's when I met the old crone. And I just kept coming back from around then till 88. And came back maybe 10 times. And 5 of those times I stayed for months, right? And kind of lived there. I could have lived there. I could have. I mean, I had a girlfriend that was the town doctor. I was the town priest slash psychotherapist slash social worker. And everyone loved us. We were the magic, and she loved me, and she was great. But she had that Irish temper, and she loved me because I didn't drink, I didn't anything bad except knocked her socks off every night, and took care of her 2 kids, and gave them the kind of male role model that wasn't even anywhere on the western side of Ireland, at least in her mind. And so she wanted to marry me in the worst of ways and wanted me to stay there for the rest of eternity, and that was her dream. And she was really sweet to me, trying to motivate me into that. But after about 3 or 4 months, she kind of realized, this ain't working. So instead of getting sweeter, she kind of got her little ire up, right? And then I left, and that's the thing that she really that I a lot of women have issues because I have this attitude of freedom. I mean, I try to bring them into that freedom, and she loved that man for 2 and 3 months. It was the happiest she ever was because she was having this amazing freedom and having a comrade to be free with, and still being able to do her dream as being a doctor. And all the crap that I don't want to have to deal with, this guy takes care of. So, but because I wouldn't slip a ring on her finger and stay there forever, I mean, we kind of talked about it. I said, well, you can come to New York. And she said, oh, I can't do that. We can go, And then that was right about 1988 when Ireland joined the EU. And when that happened, it was like, when they voted that in, it was like, and then I went to, 88 was the last time I was in Ireland. And I didn't go back until 2005. And it was It was sad because, like O'Connell Street in Dublin, that was the heart, the soul of Ireland. There's the post office where the revolution started, and O'Connell Street had all these oak trees, gigantic 100-year oak trees, where the Romans and the English hung all the heroes, and there were all these great statues of the Irish heroes. And when I came back in '05, they had bulldozed all the trees down, widened, took out all of the old Gilded Age buildings, and made that avenue look like Brussels. And then took all the statues down and put up all this stupid modern, stainless steel, pointy Brussels art. It turned, Dublin into Brussels. And as I took these, it was a business thing. I was a guide, and I took these folks around, and all of the little towns, the West Coast got an interstate. There was an interstate going on the west side and the east side, and a couple going north to south. And it was, so I can feel it. I can, yeah. But you're in Tipperary, where you're kind of up in the hills, and so what is Tipperary like these days? Yep, I was very young and very lucky. So stay close to Crone's house was that Marlboro Man? No, 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 no. Marlboro Man never left New York. That was Archie. He was Scottish. He was an anthropologist. He was one of the first people back in the 20s who said that the pyramids were machines and they were built by, extraterrestrials. Yeah, nothing much changes in the mountains. So, how close are you to Skibbereen? Which side? Archie. Yep. I mean, he looked like Gandalf. And we took a gypsy. Do they still have the gypsy, RVs? Archie was the old crone's buddy. 2 hours or so. So, have you ever been to Glendore, which is a town on the west coast? Yeah, chips are rare now. But Archie and I went all the way up from Limerick, all the way up to Galway. And we were looking for, the beehive houses and the stone houses and we were finding the ley lines, and we found two, and this is without ground penetrating radar. We found two pyramids, and there is now a pyramid. Oh, I forget where it is, but it's on the west coast. It's actually kind of in the middle, meaning if you went up the Magic Highway on the east coast that goes from Dublin to Northern Ireland, and kind of in the middle, you take a left and head towards the west coast. Right in the middle, there's they call it a stone burial site, but it's a friggin' pyramid. And these people who hired me to be their guide in 2008, 2005, which they wanted to see this thing. So we went there, and that's when I was really heavy, and my legs were in clamps, and I wasn't doing too good. But I did. The reason I went was that hey, they were going to pay for everything. I said, well, this might be the last time I ever see Ireland, and I had about a year left on my passport. So I said, sure, fine, good, let's go. And so they went to this thing, and they couldn't drive on the wrong side of the road, so I was like their chauffeur. Anyway, so we went to this place, and we went to the where you buy the tourist trinkets made in China. I'm waiting for permission. I put probably to pick up on her communications. Jamie, have you been in state when we visited when we went to the old crone's um, you know place? And did you see the did when he was 11? State of the photonic light and the library, and then the bridge from the library. Oh, my battery's getting low. So 22 minutes. This was just supposed to be a short one, saying that I'm going to do a longer one this afternoon, around 2-ish here. So it's now about, I don't know, 10, 11-ish here. So, okay, so I love you guys. I have to beep off now because I don't want to freak my phone out. Okay, love you. Talk to you later.